Particular evening on Blunt Talk, the fearless debate. I'll start with introducing Tinashe Masala, the NAREP campaign coordinator. Welcome to Blunt Talk.
Thank you, Chisha, and hello, viewers.
All right. We also do have MPUTA NGALANDE, the governance activist and also political analyst on Blunt Talk this particular evening. Good evening. Welcome to Blunt Talk.
Thank you very much for having me, moderator.
All right. We'll be joined in by Mr. OMIYA HANKANGA, LUSAKA Province Mobilization Chairperson, who is currently on his way, and he will be soon with us in the studio. But however, the time cannot wait, and we have to start the program. Of course, 6 days has gone after the inauguration of the president, Hakainde Hichilema, also famously known as Bali, especially to the young youths, and several appointments have been made, and quite a lot of changes are slowly going the new administration and trying to see who's going to work best, and re-emphasizing of the laws and policies have been made also by the president. Just yesterday he did re-emphasize the aspect of not anyone that is a Zambian citizen should be arrested until investigations are done, and investigations should be done within the 48 hours that someone has been caught. But also the aspect of the defense forces being switched up a little bit by the top positions and the commissioners as well, that is the Zambia police. Also realizing that just today there was a swearing in, and that is from the Special Assistant for Press and Public Relations, Anthony Walia, for the president, of course, and different appointments. Today we discuss the new dawn and where we are. It seems that the progression is there, and we're trying to assess how far we have gone from the time that Bali was inaugurated last week on Tuesday. My first question to you on the panel, of course, realizing that you are not new people to Blunt Talk, but I will re-echo the rules for this particular evening. You have 3 minutes each to answer the questions. And of course, if you have any counter reaction to your panelist, you are able to answer your, or rather counter react within the 3 minutes that you have. Is that very clear? All right, great. My first question, and I'll start with Tinashe Masala. Ladies first. I'm a very perfect gentleman. Let's get to the lady. What is the role of you as an institution coming from National Restoration Party in the rule and the regime of the United Party for National Development in the next 5 years?
I think and not just for us in National Restoration Party, but even the people that voted for Bali, I think our greatest role over the next 5 years, if we want Hakainde Hichilema to be one of the best presidents this country has seen, we have to ensure that we are there to offer checks and balances. If you look at the numbers that came out of Parliament just from this election, you can see that UPND already has a majority. So now with the prerogative that the president has to appoint another 10, that's going to give them an absolute majority. Now, God forbid we have in this regime something as detrimental to our society like Bill 10, and they allow it to pass because they have the numbers. It could be dangerous. So I think what I'm going to reiterate is I would really like, and we as an institution are going to offer checks and balances where we see that they might not be doing the right thing. We are going to offer alternative solutions. We're going to offer criticism because criticism helps build people. And where they're doing the right thing, we are also going to encourage them and give them praise, because at the end of the day, we want a Zambia in which we can all thrive.
What is next for NAREP? We've seen that the main opposition party, the structures and positions are being, reshuffled and being adjusted according to how they feel they want to rebrand. What is next for NAREP?
I think it's also going to be a lot of rebranding. When we look at the results that came out of this particular election, you'll find that with exception of NAREP, who got a councillor, and Mr. Hamududu Haivi's party, you find that the other opposition parties, most of them failed to get candidates, and the candidates were either independent or came from the PF or from the UPND. So there has to be a lot of rebranding and restructuring, and we need to ensure that we have a strong opposition in existence to offer the right checks and balances to the current regime.
All right. Of course, we do realize that your president, we don't know whether, anyway, he didn't really, compared to all the votes, he didn't really perform well. What could be the result of that performance?
What could be the result?
The reason.
The reason.
Yeah.
I think it's a multi-dimensional problem. Look, one of the honest truths is this was quite a tricky election to be in as someone who was not the leading opposition force, because we had the Zambian people who were just so tired of the PF regime, and they gave their vote to the person that they thought was in the best position to take over and to remove the regime. So we have many people who did not necessarily even want the UPND, but they knew they wanted the PF out. So obviously it's been a lot of time of reflection for us, because it was quite disappointing, but I think it was an array of reasons.
All right, let's get to governance activist, MPUTA NGALANDE. Same question with you. In your capacity as a governance activist, what is next for you in this particular time where the UPND is ruling?
So we have seen quite a few things that are positive things that the new government has done, and with the stance that they have taken in order to bring law and order in the country is one recommendable job that we would love to see as we move forward in the next 5 years. And another thing is that there are a lot of aspects, there are a lot of promises that were given, that were promised during the campaigns or before the campaigns that have been promised to the Zambian people through the party manifesto of the current party that is ruling. And we have seen a lot of other governments, for example, the previous government that promised certain things and were not delivered, and they were written in the manifesto, but they were not delivered. So this time around, we are going to, as one of the stakeholders, as activists, we are going to make sure that we push for that which was mentioned in the manifesto is fulfilled, because those are some of the guidelines or the promises that this government has brought about. And there's other things that have happened, for example, the appointment of new service chiefs. We have seen some appointments based on merit, and I think as we wait for more appointments, we'll begin to see how this country will be governed for sure.
Let's stick to your in your role as a governance activist and a political analyst, because I still have questions for you for the appointments, which will come later on. But let's stick to your role. How significant would you be as a political analyst and governance activist in the next 5 years?
So our job basically is to point where the attention of the government should go, and where the government has not done well. But the most important thing is giving the current government the correct information on what needs are there. And the biggest thing, or the biggest challenge for the current president, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, is listening to the people. The previous government did not listen to what the people were saying. I don't know what structures they created that information couldn't reach the president, because the president would come out with statements that you would see that he doesn't know what is happening on the ground. And that is the mistake that this government should not make. The people from the ground should be able to the information from the ground should be able to reach the president, and the president must be able to act based on the information that is getting from the ground. Immediately you neglect that, it is the same situation like we saw with the previous government. In
your own capacity, what do you think led to the loss of power for the PF?
There were a lot of mistakes. There were a lot of mistakes in appointments, a lot of missteps, too confident, and a lot of quarrels, inside fighting and those are among of the challenges. For example, the running mate. That was not the right choice for them to appoint a running.
Why isn't Professor Nkanduluo the right choice?
That Professor Nkanduluo had a score to settle with the youths, and they didn't want her. And immediately you appoint such a person that the majority of the youth, because from the ground before the elections.
Right, quickly, your time is running.
Yeah, before the elections, you would see that older people, maybe 30 going up or 29 going up, would say, no, we have not seen any such kind of infrastructure development, so he is the right person. But starting from 27 years, 30 years coming down, all the youths wanted UPND to win power, and that is what they did. This is one election that I've seen that a lot of young people came out to vote, and this government was delivered by young people.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's get to you, Mr. OMIYA Hankanga. Welcome to Blunt Talk. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Chief, and good evening to the viewers out there.
All right. Still the Lusaka Province Mobilization Chairman?
Still the same. Nothing has changed.
All right, great.
Yeah.
How is UPND strategy in itself in the next 5 years? What's next for UPND?
I think the strategy has already been laid out to the Zambians out there, and our focus is on the 10-point plan, of which we have set things that we would want to see for Zambia in the next 5 years. And some of the things that we want to see is an issue to do with uniting this country. I think we are coming from a regime where we saw politics of regionalism, we saw politics of hate, we saw politics of tribalism. We want to unite Zambia. HANKANGA Hichilema wants to unite Zambia. UPND wants to unite Zambia. So these are some of the, we are also wanting to focus on good governance. I think you heard yesterday where he said, if you criticize UPND, we shall not arrest you. We want to see an independent judicial system where the judicial guys are able to make decisions. We want to see where Zambians and the Zambia police are able to work together to enforce law and order. That's the government that we are looking at. We want to see a Zambia where there's free education. We want to see a Zambia where the young people, those that are in business, the entrepreneurs are able to thrive in business and are able to make it. That's what we want to see. We want to see equity in terms of women, where our resources are being shared with the young people, the women, and the aged. This is what UPND wants to see in the next 5 years. We want to see young people that are able to sell their ideas, that are able to be participants of development. That's what we want to see. But our key and major role for now, we want to revive our economy. I think the president has mentioned that we found a dry coffer, meaning that there's no money in the country. So the major focus as at now is we have to create avenue for resource, where resources must be able to start trickling in Bank of Zambia, in our banks, and in our pockets. So we want to create that enabling environment for each and every Zambian to thrive in business and to thrive at the personal development. So the key number one is the economy.
Will you do that within the 5 years that has been given to you by the many Zambians?
There's a laid out plan that the party has. This is why you've seen there's this dilemma in terms of announcing of the cabinet ministers, because we want to give Zambia the best. We want to give Zambia that the cabinet that they will reckon with. We don't want them to start saying, we are trying to run away from the issue of cadasm.
Are we going to see majority of the youths being appointed?
We will have a number of youths yes appointed, because this election is about the young people. The young people have participated, the young people have put HANKANGA in status. HANKANGA is there, we are holding him to ransom as young people, as Zambians, that we have put you there. It is your time to look after us.
All right, talking about the appointments, back to you, Mr. OMIYA Hankanga. What is your assessment of the 7th Republican President of Zambia, HANKANGA Hichilema's appointment so far?
So
3
far,
minutes
so good.
now.
So far, so good. I think we've given you the best in terms of an economist, who is Stumbeko Msokoto, who is the current finance minister. I think if you look at his past record, he has helped Zambia during the Manawasa regime. He helped Zambia to be where it was, to reduce the GDP from, was it 11% to 3%? So you see, he's a person that has worked before in our country. He's a person that has got a track record which is clean. So we are looking at not just a cabinet of one person. We are looking at a cabinet where the Zambians will be the ones to benefit at the end of the day. We are looking at a cabinet where corruption will be zero tolerated. So those are issues that we are looking at. So Hakainde Hichilema, as he sits, as our president sits, to look at who do I appoint. He's looking at these issues because we don't want a situation which has happened in the previous government where corruption was the order of the day. We want to ensure that the resources that are meant for Zambians are given to Zambians. We want the resources that are meant, if it is for a hospital, they're given to a hospital. We want Zambians to enjoy life. They should be able to enjoy life and be able to provide for their families. That is having 3 meals a day, which is a basic need of every home.
Let's look at the defense forces, the reshuffling and adjusting of certain positions. I don't want to call them demotions, but let's look at that particular aspect. For the defense forces, what's the assessment on that?
I think the former defense forces, you saw the way they behaved. They did not stand for Zambians. Not just standing for Zambians, they did not uphold the rule of law for Zambians. The third thing, they did not respect the constitution of Zambia. Hence the changes. Had they abide to the constitution of Zambia, would have not seen this kind of change that has taken place. Because if you see the way, I'll give an example. If you saw, we've been here talking about, we're calling for the resignation of the Inspector General of Police. You saw the way he misbehaved.
How did he misbehave?
Come on. You saw the way the police brutality. He was the one in charge. You saw the way cadres were owning uniforms. That was misbehaving as a leader. You do not do that. You see, you need to uphold the rule of law. You saw the way, I'll give an example of the army commander, not the army commander, the ZNS Zambia Air Force commander, where he became partisan. You do not want to allow a leader of an opposition to fly, of which Hakainde says he will not do that. If NAREP, the president, wants to move from Lusaka to Mongo, it's his choice which mode he wants to use. If he wants to fly, let him fly. Why tell him NAREP to say don't go that side? This is what we want. We want Zambians to be free. We want Zambians to enjoy their rule of law. We don't want them to be victimized or become victims of political powers. We don't want that. We want to share this power as United Party for National Development.
My last question in this particular segment is, what difference do you think the newly appointed commanders will bring to the table as UPND?
I think there will be sanity. Sanity will be there, because if you heard when the president was actually choosing this command, he gave them a strict order, and the order is that can we enforce the rule of law, meaning that Zambians, if you are found at the wrong side of the law will face you. Even members of the United Party for National Development, if you are found on the wrong side of the law, it will face you. So we do not, this is why from the beginning, from when we were campaigning, we were saying under UPND, we are going to end cadasm. We are going to remove our cadres from the stations, we're going to remove the cadres from the markets, we're going to remove our cadres from any bus station in the streets, of which this is currently happening.
All right, let's dive to Mr. MPUTA NGALANDE, the governance activist. What is your assessment with the appointments from the 7th Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema? Your 3 minutes starts now.
I am only skeptical with the appointment of the finance minister. It is very important that when certain people save this country, they should rest and bringing back certain people that understand the system. We saw what happened. I remember when the appointment of the former minister that was there, that is responsible for the debt that we have now, we said this appointment is wrong. This person has been there from UNIP, has been there in MMD. Now you are bringing him again here as minister. It is not right. And what did we see? We did. People said we didn't have experience. That man had a CV. It was a very nice CV. But when he came, he borrowed under his watch. We borrowed and borrowed and borrowed under his watch. That is the person that had experience. That is the person that worked in different governments. So this time around, with such experience, for me, I'm very skeptical. Dr. Msokotwani is, when Zamte was sold, it was under his watch. When Zamte was sold, and that was a government asset. There are a lot of things that happened under his watch that are questionable. So this time around, let's hope we'll not see the same pattern that we saw from his some people that we trusted because they have experience. I thought maybe we would have someone who is fresh ideas, that has never been in that particular position before. Yes, yes, experience is important, but we know what certain people did, and we are bringing him back. For me, was not the right choice, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Now,
only time will tell.
What is your take on the aspect of bringing in recycled politicians, people who've already been?
They understand the system, and these are people that can manipulate the system to their advantage. I think the previous minister that brought us, blessed us with this debt, wanted to I knew he's going to retire very soon, and he's tired, so he borrowed so that maybe he can have I can get certain things that he wanted from the same borrowing. And immediately he finished borrowing, we saw him retiring, and right now he is enjoying. I'm sure he has everything.
Do you believe Dr. Tumbeko Msokotwane has got the same character?
I don't believe so, but I've seen this happen, and that is my skepticism where it comes from, because these people understand the system, and they have been there, and they understand the loopholes.
Do you believe that he would definitely change the
I'm saying I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Only time will tell. And hoping. I pray I'm wrong.
And you're only hoping, and you're not confident.
Yes. Yeah. Right. I'm only hoping, but I'm not confident.
Tinashe Masala, you're accepting to what MPUTA NGALANDE is saying. What are your thoughts on the appointments that Bali has made so far?
I think MPUTA has echoed a lot of the things that I strongly believe. I think the first thing I would like to say is it's too early to tell. I would like to give them, let's see what will happen in the next 100 days, the next year, the next 2 years. And I think that is what we are going to properly assess. Rightfully so, a lot of these people that have been appointed, they have excellent CVs, they have excellent experience. But I'm sure many of us have had the unfortunate encounter of sometimes hiring people who had excellent CVs but did not perform in the way they were expected to perform. And the second thing is, I would like to ask the question, yes, they have experience, but are we sure these people have the experience for what is needed in this time? Because the world has changed. The economy has changed. So you find this person may have excellent experience, but is it relevant to the current times and to the current trends? And this is why I think it would be quite unfair to, off the bat, and because so far I haven't seen anyone who did anything immensely wrong, and maybe it's very sad that they come after a time where the bar was set very low under PF. It was set extremely low. So the moment that you have competent people in these places and people with seemingly good character and seemingly of high integrity, you at least want to give them a chance. I would like to see whether they excel or whether they fail. I think for me it's too early to tell. But more importantly, when on the matter of appointments, what I would like to see from President Hakainde Hichilema is change this trend. Come on, we cannot have the president appointing the people in the judiciary. We need it's too much power. And one thing that I think I would definitely applaud President Hakainde Hichilema is if he begins steps towards amending these laws that vest the power of appointing, all of these people, they should remove them from the presidency. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we've seen what that has done, for example. We saw it with Boni Kapeso, for example, who got fired because he stood up against a cadre who was being indisciplined. And he was replaced with the outgoing Mr. Kanganja, who, like my colleague OMIYA said, he left a lot to be desired. So I think I would really like to see a change in the way that appointments are made.
There's a protest by the PEP president, Sean Tembo, against the appointment of Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane as finance minister. Your thoughts?
I think I will just reiterate what I said. I would like to give Dr. Musokotwane time. Let us see whether the president made a good choice, or people like Mr. Sean Tembo were right. But something that I've also found quite annoying over the past few days is there's a lot of these people from the opposition who I think are doing things just to stay relevant. I would like us to talk about critical issues. Like, for example, let's have conversations and let's compel our president now to reduce the powers of the president. The president has far too much power. He shouldn't have to appoint all of these things. And this is what I would like to hear people like Sean Tembo and all of these other people who've been talking about things which are seemingly irrelevant. And I would just, again, I don't know. Let's give Dr. Musokotwane, let's give him a year. Let's see how it goes.
All right. Let me dive right back to you, Mr. OMIYA Hankanga, coming from the UPND as the Lusaka Province Mobilization Chairperson. Your assessment on the political promises that you did give to the many Zambians, are they factual? We're talking about issues of economic expansion, issues of debt relief, issues of student bursaries, issues of media freedoms, agency freedoms, free education. Are these promises factual?
Very factual. Because if you look at Hakainde, our President Hakainde Hichilema, he's actually a beneficiary of the bursary. And the previous government could not implement the bursaries program for the student because there was too much corruption. Under the current leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, we are saying we have zero tolerance to corruption. And if we are going to have zero tolerance to corruption, meaning that the government will have the resources to give starting from grade 1 to grade 12. So the reason most people they are talking about Stumbeko Msokotwane is because, you see,
are the resources enough?
They are
for
Zambia has got much needed resource. Because if you look at, for the last, is it 9-11 years, Zambia, we've been talking about bumper harvest, of which much of our maize has been going to West. Why not export that maize and earn foreign exchange in order to reduce on the dollar rate? So these are some of the issues. If you look at the copper that Zambia produces, much of it has been controlled by individuals, selfish individuals in the previous government, of which Hakainde Hichilema says, no, this will not happen. If you look at the debt restructuring program, my president, Hakainde Hichilema, your president, offered to help the government restructure this debt. So this is a man who knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about, because how do you offer? You are in opposition, but you're offering your expertise in order to restructure a huge mountain of debt that you have accumulated, of which, let's talk about the Euro bonds. Much of it went into people's pockets. You see, let's talk about the much needed monies that the monies that we borrowed, of which much of it went into the people's pocket. We inflated the construction of the roads. Anything that the government did, it was inflated. We bought wrong type of drugs. So you see, these are issues that my president says, if we have zero tolerance to corruption, meaning that each and every Zambian's life will be bettered, meaning that each and every Zambian's life will be able to have 3 meals a day. So the issue is, if you have a visionary leader, it is easier to have this. The problem is that in the previous government, we were taught, when people were asked, what is your vision for this country, says, I don't have any, I will carry on. But Hakainde Hichilema has been prudent. From the time he actually took over UPND, He's the only leader that has been talking about the issues to do with free education.
What's the time frame that you've given yourself as UPND to do with almost everything that you've
2 years. 2 years. Meaning 24 months. Within 24 months.
And this is what I'm asking. Are these things factual, Mr.
They are factual. The president says within 24 months, within 24 months, we should be able to see a reduction in the debt mountain. Within 24 months, we should be able to see
there's quite a lot that you promised in your manifesto, and this is why I'm asking.
This is why we're saying in our manifesto we are talking about only 10 things, of which, if you look at the issues to do with industrialization, these are issues where we have industries that have been closed that can be revamped. We have nitrogen chemicals, which can be revamped. Why buy fertilizer from Saudi Arabia when we can just pump money in nitrogen chemicals and reduce the price? Because
there's also an aspect of 100 days. What are you going to achieve within the 100 days that you stated?
In the 100 days, I think we have mentioned quite a number of things. One of the things is to do with the dollar, that the dollar must be able to come to a single digit. Within 100 days, the dollar must be able to come to a single digit. Within 100 days, we should be able to see the debt mountain starting to come down. Within 100 days, we should be able to see a number of at least not less than 25,000 people must be what? Employed. So you see, the process seems to be slow because there is this cabinet that has not yet been set. Within 100 days,
being delayed by the president.
No, it's not being delayed by the president, because you see, when you cannot appoint certain people into key positions, like, I'll give an example. How do you appoint the 8 parliamentarians publicly who wants to take up certain roles when parliament has not yet opened? Those are issues that you should understand.
All right, we'll get back to you. Your time is up. We'll get back to you, Mr. OMIYA Hankanga, and definitely let's dive to Mr. MPUTA NGALANDE, the governance activist. Your assessment on the promises that UPND, the ruling government, did make. There are quite a lot in their manifestos. There's even 10-point plan. Yeah, 10. But of course, well, the 10-point plan is obviously it's detailed, and there are quite a lot under those 10-point plan, Mr. Hankanga.
They are tenable.
There are quite a lot.
They are tenable.
Well, let's be factual and realistic. Let's get to Mr. MPUTA NGALANDE. Quite a lot of promises that still stand. Quite a lot of promises that have been made by the UPND. Are these promises factual? 3 minutes starts now.
Some of them are factual, some of them are not factual. The population now is somewhere around 17 million, and if we look at it, 70% of that particular population are young people or youths, and then below 24, I'm sure it is about 50%, and below 24, these are young people that are in secondary schools, primary schools, and universities, and you might find 50% of 17 million. We might find maybe it is somewhere 8, if I'm not mistaken. 8 million people want to access education, and 8 million people will be on free from grade 1 to grade 12 in 2 years' time. Yes. In 2 years' time, for me, I can't see that being feasible. It is.
Are you doubting the current government?
Maybe if they tell me in the next 5 years or with the next 10 years, they might. Are they telling us that everyone that will be in school will be getting free education from 1 to university?
To grade 12.
To grade 12?
Yeah.
Not to university. From.
Did you believe that is a tenure?
That is one dream that I would love to see in my lifetime, and if that happens, I will be the most happy.
Cannot be to you.
Mr.
Hankanga, you have the time to.
I'll be very happy. I'll be very happy. I'll be very happy, but I don't. I doubt. My doubt percentage is at 95%. I'm leaving 5%.
Well, do you think that was a bit rhetoric to state?
We have seen, you know, sometimes if you want to to win, maybe you're proposing to a lady and whatever. There is that kind of exaggeration to some extent.
Yeah.
So you see, maybe this is one of them. We don't know. You're going to have a constitution. The previous government, you're going to have a constitution in 90 days. There was 90 days, whatever, and we saw that 90 days became 2 years, and that moved. So, but these are different people.
Yeah.
So let's see. For me, but this one, the free
So
education
apart from
one,
the
I
free
don't.
education,
believe.
which other one do you struggle to believe?
For now, it is the free education one. The rest are attainable. Especially if they talk about bringing the debt down, those are attainable. Like the dollar appreciating and what, those are
Reduction of
attainable.
fuel.
Yeah, a reduction of fuel. Yeah, so the management of the economy are basically, it is manageable, because you have said certain loopholes, because you might have a bucket but it is open down, so anything that comes in goes in different sources, different areas that are not actually are priorities. But if they are saying they are going to mend all those loopholes and make sure that when this money goes to priorities, then this because this country has resources already, and if they manage these resources very well, we might see a very favorable economy, and the economy being very, very good with the current discipline that we have seen in these few days, if it continues.
Tinashe MASALA, NAREP campaign coordinator, your assessment on the political promises made by the UPND, which is the current government, is it now?
I'm curious. What I am is curious, and I would like to give them a benefit of the doubt. One of the things, though, that we do not do in this country is, like he said before, people had more money in your pockets. By the time that the PF regime has left, our pockets had holes and we hardly had any money to put in it. But it all goes back to, we missed. I remember in that election, I kept asking people when they'll say, no, Mom, have you asked him how? He never ever told us. And even now, like, I would hear Bali will fix it. I didn't often hear how. So they keep saying, give us 2 years, 2 years. Are they looking for the solution now? And if they are, and they didn't have it before, I'm worried. I'm honestly worried. But I would like to give them a benefit of the doubt, because honestly, I'm hopeful. What I would like is just to see a better Zambia. I would just like to see the people who are impoverished have a fighting chance. But then also, like my colleague said, he's questionable. So let's look at the free education, for example. For me, it's more than just having children in school, but it's having children in school to have a quality education. Because one of the flaws of the sort of democracy that we practice now is people do things to tick boxes, not to leave a legacy. So I would like to see, even as they are promising this free education, there should also be an education reform. And that is not something that you can do in 100 days. That is something that, for it to be done properly, takes time. And honestly speaking, anything that is worthwhile and that is long-lasting usually takes a long time to be built. So this is why I would like to see how they do it, because maybe we will have it in under 2 years, but maybe we'll have the same system where children are going to school to learn for 2 hours. How? What are they realistically learning in that 2 hours? That's ridiculous. So for me, I would like to see a genuine reform which goes beyond political rhetoric and which is going to go towards building this nation into a formidable force.
Apart from free education, which other campaign promise do you believe it's not achievable or realistic?
Look, and this is why I'm saying I'm giving them a benefit of the doubt. Yeah. I really don't want to say anything, but let's see. So Mr. OMIYA here said the dollar is going to go down to a single digit. I would absolutely love that. As an entrepreneur, I'd be so happy. But, you know, we hope it's not political rhetoric. We want to see the prices of fuel go down, because and already, for example, the prices are going down. The kwacha is appreciated, so we've seen a change in the exchange rate. But when I go and do my shopping, I'm not seeing that translated into that. And yes, we can argue these people have their old stocks that they bought at this price, and it's going to take a while. But I would like to see that trickle down really to the bottom. And this is the problem with economics sometimes. It reflects good on numbers. But for me, who's concerned about the development of the poorest of the poor, how is this positively impacting them?
All right. Of course, we'll definitely get to the next question, but let me allow callers now. For the time being, you are able to call us on the number that will be showing on your screens very soon. The number is 0764-250055, 0764-250055. If you have any counter reaction, or if you have a question for the panelists that I do have this particular evening, call us on that number and add your voice to this particular discussion. We are looking at the new dawn. Where are we? And of course, trying to scrutinize and assess the performance so far for the United Party for National Development with their leader, President Hakainde Hichilema. We do have our first caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay, this is voice of Kashiwa.
All right, please be quick with your contribution or counter reaction or question.
Yeah. My contribution is actually let's give the new government time and patience. I think the man has the eyes on the ball. The president has the eyes on the ball. So he really means his way. So let's not be in a rush to say the paper today because they have to fix here. For example, if there are loopholes, you need to make those before it accelerates. So let's not be too expectant in a speedy, sharp manner.
All right.
Let's give them a little bit of patience. Young people, this government means well. We see it from the way it is. The foundation is laid. The direction it's on. It's really very hopeful.
All right.
And assuring that we might have a better days ahead of us.
All right. Thank you so much. I do appreciate. All right. Because of time, we had to cut you. But please, as you call in, make sure that your contribution is quick and timely. Because of time, you're only allowed to give us your question, contribution, or counter reaction within a minute. Because of time. Call us on 0764-250055. Pick up our next caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. How are you doing?
Hey, good evening. How are you, Margarita?
Very fine, thanks. Who am I talking to and where are you calling from?
This is Mr. Marzena calling with the other.
All right, please be quick with your contribution. You have 1 minute.
Yes, for this program.
Yeah.
Yes, otherwise, I've already started seeing mini meal has started reducing and cooking oil and some other commodities. So let us just give this government time. Everything will be well. That's my contribution. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let's pick up the last call and question or contribution towards the panelists. 0764-250055, 0764-250055. That is the number that you're using to call us and add a question, a counter reaction, or a contribution towards our topic for this evening. Good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Hello, please turn down the volume on your radio set, on your TV set per se. All right, who am I talking to and where are you calling from?
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Where are you calling from and who am I talking to?
You're talking to Mr. Kadikeka from Mansa.
All right, please be quick with your contribution. You have 1 minute.
Okay, I would want to counter react to what has been said.
By who?
In my opinion, I think it's too. Hello? Are you able to get
Yes, yes, please go on. Please go on.
Yes, I think it's too early for us to start questioning how the government is faring. Let us not try to be dramatic. When you look at the period that we started evaluating the president, I don't think it's carrying it. I think the country is so much expectant, but I think the critics are too early for me, because the president is not doing too odd, and we start expecting so much from him. Come on, let's try to support, and I think it's just too early for us to start evaluating the president. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution and your opinion. We respect it. All right. Of course, we are evaluating. It is important to evaluate. We did vote. Yeah. We stood in that line for a very long time, and we have to evaluate the appointments. But anyway, Mr. OMIYA HANKANGA, contributions have come through is that you need time as the UPND. Of course, others have noticed that the milling meal and cooking oil prices have gone down. I haven't noted that personally, but also people are saying it's too early to, of course, question your decisions as at now. Is it so? Your 3 minutes starts now.
When a full cabinet has been set, 1 month after a full cabinet, people can start judging. Because, you see, the president and the financial minister cannot make a decision based just by the two of them. So, all we are asking Zambians is to be a little bit patient until the full cabinet is put in place. I wanted to have a reaction to what my brother was saying and my comrade was saying earlier on about free education.
Let's go.
I want to give an example of what is currently happening now. The Minister of, is it the Permanent Secretary for Minister of Education, General Education, Mr. Joblix?
Yeah.
Declared that this time, no student must pay. So the question that we must ask ourselves, how will the schools survive?
Did he say that?
Yes, they're not paying from 0 to 12. It's free education. This time, it's free education. So even the Patriotic Front government, then, they knew it is possible to have a free education. That's why they declared it, that all students that are going back must not pay any amount, it being in a private or it being in a government school. They're not paying anything. So it is attainable. It is something that is attainable. All we just have to do is let the government put in resources that are going. In fact, when the British envoy came to Zambia, how much money was pledged by the British towards education? You're talking about £9 million in a space of 5 years. So if this money can be used rightly, are you telling me that the United Party for National Development government will not be able to attain this goal of ensuring that we reduce the students, we offer free education from 1 to grade 12? It is attainable. The second issue is to do with the issues of the milling meal prices. If you look at the current bureaucracy that has taken place in terms of the purchase of fertilizer and the seedlings, 1 bag of D compound has been going at a price of about 720 kwacha in a hectare. In a hectare, 1 hectare, which is what we call, others they call it 1 lima, the 1 lima. In 1 hectare, you need about 7 bags of D compound. Multiply 720 by the 7 bags. Then you need close to about 250 kg, 3 actually, 50 kg bags for you to plant. So now, how much, already you're talking about close to 10,000 kwacha. Now, how many, what is your yield from a hectare? So, Hakainde Ichnema says, my president says, we are going to reduce the cost of fertilizer from the 720 to 250. Those are the promises we gave to the Zambians.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get to MPUTA NGALANDE governance activist. It's too early to start questioning the current government. Do you believe so? And you have already actually questioned on the free education.
It is never too early. The system of saying let's give them time is what we saw the previous government doing a lot of, making a lot of decisions. So this time around, like I said, this time around, this government should keep ears on the ground and make sure that everything that comes, they see reason in it. So it is very important to offer positive criticism, and that criticism should be listened to, so that those decisions are evaluated, and make sure that there is no certain loopholes that we might see. And in terms of what my older brother is from saying here, saying so this free education should not depend on donor funding.
Yes.
That is a very wrong, because donors can pour out at any time. We need to, this free education, if we're going to have it, it should be funded from our coffers, and we must be capable to fund it from our own resources.
Is Zambia capable of funding its own education?
That is my question. No wonder I am skeptical about free education. He's talking about them coming back to and this term being for free. This term is already finished, and these people were home. So there's certain money that was supposed to be used with these months that these pupils have been home. Those resources are still there. They are the resources that are going to be used in this period, because these pupils were home. So it is very practical if they say you don't pay for this term because the resources are there, right? So this is there are certain schools that don't have books, adequate books. There's a lot, even as at now, with the amount that is being paid, there are a lot of schools that do not have certain amenities that are very important for us to give quality education to our citizens. So that is one thing that we must also take into consideration. So it is never too late.
All right, let's get to Tinashe Masala. Of course, a caller did come in and say the milling mill prices already started going down. The cooking oil has already started going down. Against what you said, you stated that you haven't seen prices go down.
I honestly haven't yet seen it, and I would really love to know where that particular caller shops, so that I can also go and take advantage of these lower prices. But also, just to react to what my colleagues have said, I agree with Mupeta when he says we cannot, and this is what has gotten us in this mess as a country and as a continent. We cannot have our education system financed by donors. What happens if the donor pulls out? Also, we've gotten to this point where we think that people give us money here in Africa because they're Father Christmas. They have an agenda. We must always question. There's no such thing as free lunch. And I hope this administration is going to get to a point where, like my comrade OMIYA said earlier, where they start to recover, and we've seen them do it. For example, I saw a news article where they're recovering 100,000 a day from just intercity. So if we can take away corruption, we will find that there's a lot of money that we can be using and channeling towards important things like our education system. But then again, like Mupeta said, I don't know. Anyway, let's see where we're going to go. And in response to what the caller said, like I say, I'm giving these people a benefit of the doubt as well. I'd like to see where they go. However, people are also not just coming out of the blue. If you promise us something in 100 days, you better deliver it in 100 days. Don't come on day 99 and come and start saying, give us more time. There are certain expectations that the Zambian people are having of the current government that are not unrealistic. The expectations that were placed in their minds by the current government when they were on the campaign trail. Let them not come and forget now that they've made government and they see, okay, this is not as easy as we thought. And then they come and say, give us more time. And if they want more time, that's okay. Come and have a conversation with us. But then don't make people feel like they're crazy because they're asking you to fulfill what you promised.
Do you believe UPND needs more time for criticism? It's too early to criticize them?
I think I already answered it. There are certain things where it's too early to criticize them, and let's give them a benefit of the doubt. But in the things where they said they'll do it in 100 days, I don't think it is. Because they told us they would do it. So they should live up to their word. No one forced them, but they told us.
All right, I'm going to give you 1 minute each to give your final remarks with regards to the topic. I'm going to start with you, Mr. NGALANDE. I haven't started with you in any of the series of questions. So let me start with you. Your final remarks with regards to the topic at hand.
My final remarks is that we're going to see fresh ideas. Fresh people have taken the wheel and we will see where this bus as Zambia is taking us. And so far, I must make mention, so far so good, but we must also understand that these are human beings and they will err at some point, and we must be able to leave room for error and make sure that we are there to make sure we give them checks and balances and make our voices heard. As we have heard, there will be freedom of association, freedom of expression, and these are very important rights in a democratic country like Zambia, so that the development that is needed is seen.
All right, Mr. OMIYA HANKANGA, your final remarks with regards to the topic. You have 1 minute.
My final remarks, I'm appealing to the Zambians out there to be a little bit patient with the president as he's setting up his cabinet. And I want to assure the Zambians out there that the president is a man of his word, and whatever promise that he has given to the Zambians, it will be fulfilled. And as a party and as a president, we are open to criticism, positive criticism, negative criticism, and will ensure that each and every Zambian, regardless of your ethnicity, religion, you'll be able to enjoy the Zambians' natural resources. Thank you for voting for UPND.
All right. Tinashe MASALA, 1 minute starts now.
I also have an appeal to the Zambians, and I will say that if, especially for the people that voted for our current president, if you want him to be the best president you can be, ensure that you are offering checks and balances. Indeed. And you are insisting that he's creating checks and balances and accountability structures around him. In addition to that, I would also just like to make an appeal to my fellow members of the opposition. Let's stick to the critical things when we're talking about. Let's not spend hours talking about things like when is Bali moving to State House, and like I'm not really interested in that. I'm more interested in the fact, okay, you promised us free education. How are you doing it? You said we're going to get out of debt. How are you doing this? As an entrepreneur, how are you making the business environment more favorable for me? Let's stick to the critical issues. I think the previous regime set the bar so low that it became okay for people to be talking about ridiculous things that didn't make sense, come to platforms like this and be talking about people's tribe and be talking irrelevant things. We mean business. Let's be a generation that means business, that wants this country to thrive. Those are my final words.
All right, thank you so much, panelists, for making your time and coming through to the Blunt Talk, which is the Fearless Debate, tonight, Monday, the 30th of August, 2021.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, where are we? New Dawn was our topic for tonight. My name is Chola Chisha. I've been your moderator for Blunt Talk, the Fearless Debate. And of course, we are back next week at the same time, 20 hours, as we continue to look at issues that pertain to national development. Continue watching your channel of choice. Coming up next at 21:15 is the main news with Mr. Stedlex Mkonjera.
Thank you.